This video will serve as an introduction to the two most basic query functions within NVivo 10. To access them, we can go to the Query tab and you'll see there's a whole variety of different options available here. In this video, we'll be looking at the text search query and the word frequency query. You'll notice I'm using environmental change down east to demonstrate these, as the power of queries are best leveraged with a project with lots of data within it. To start us off, I'm going to make a text search query. Clicking on text search will load up this dialog here, and this is where I can enter my search term. You'll notice that you can use special operators and parameters to use Boolean logic, but for the case of this query, I'm just going to perform a very basic search. As this project relates to environmental change down east, and in particular fishing and water quality, I'm just going to search for the word fish. I'll leave this on exact match for now, and I'll leave this on all sources. If I run this query as it is, NVivo will look for the word fish across the entire project, and every time it sees an occurrence of the word fish, as you can see here, it will list it. And I'm going to order these by references, and this will get a feel for where it comes up most within the project. We can see here Robert has mentioned fishing 15 times within his interview, compared to these articles down here which might only mention it a couple of times. Now, as I search for the exact match, fish, this will only be references to fish and nothing else. If I browse the tabs down the side here, you'll see there are a number of different ways that we can navigate this result. If I click on references, it will actually bring up every single reference to the word fish within the project and also bring in the wider context. So here I can see every time the word fish has appeared and the words either side of it to get the feel for that context. Below references, I've got the option of text, PDF, dataset. Essentially, those options will vary depending on what you've looked for, and it will just bring in what kind of data types that word appeared in. So in this case, this is telling me that the word fish has appeared in text, PDFs, and datasets. If it also appeared in a video transcript, that would be listed down the side under video. As it hasn't in this case, it just says these three. The final option is one of the more interesting ones. It's the word tree. If I select this, it will put the word I've searched for, which is fish, in the middle, and it will show me the context of fish across the whole project. Essentially, here's every word that comes before the word fish and after the word fish in the context of the project. This is really actually important for navigating patterns. So we can see here the word the and houses, and they all come in quite frequently before and after. And while nothing particularly jumps out within the context of this project, I have seen many word trees in the past where it has really highlighted important sub-themes and how different words are related to together. So while I've got a query open, you can, if you want to, click on this query option and click on last run query. So this will bring up all of those options again and enable me to edit them. Within NVivo, instead of just looking for an exact term, we can actually perform a fuzzy search. So the further I drag this slider across, the more similar terms to the word fish will be included. If I move it from exact match to stemmed words, it would just look for words like fish, fishes, fishing, anything that is a stemmed word of the word fish. As I drag further across, it will include synonyms, specializations, and generalizations of the word fish. So a specialization of the word fish, for example, would be tuna or shark. A generalization could be something like species or animal. This time I'm going to run the same search again, but including all the way from exact, specializations, generalizations, and click run. You'll see this time we get many more survey responses in comparison, and this has brought up many more data types within the context of our search. If I click into one of these interviews, we can get a feel for some of the words that have been included. So it's included the word house, it's included the word person, fishes, scallop, business, shrimp, catch. So some of these cases are quite useful because clearly shrimp and fish and scallops are very much related to fish, but all of the time this contextual dictionary doesn't work. So always be aware of the results that it's going to give you when you're performing this kind of a search. I'm going to go back up into here again and click on Last Run Query. This time I'm just going to explore a couple of the extra options that I've got. If I click on Add to Project, I can actually save this query within the project. So I'm just going to save this as fish. Next time I click OK, instead of running the query, it's saved it in my project. So this time I can click on the Queries tab down here and we'll see the fish query stored there. So instead of just looking at the results, I can now, anytime I want to, come back here, click on the word fish, and it will rerun that query, giving me the latest results. So if you go away, add some more data and come back, running the query again will always keep the results up to date. Now with any query that I've saved, I can right click on it and go to Query Properties, and this enables me to modify it if I require. So this time, instead of searching for all sources, I'm just going to go in here and click Selected Items. So instead of searching everything in the entire project, I can just search for very specific areas, or I can just manually tick them. In this case, I'm going to head into Nodes, Places and People, Interview Participants, and by automatically selecting the descendant nodes here, I'm going to just bring in all of the people that have been interviewed. Click OK, and this time I'm going to modify my search to include synonyms, but not specializations or generalizations. If I go to my query options and general, I've got some additional options, and here I'm going to rename my query because it's no longer just fish, it's fish and synonyms of interviewees, and click OK. You can see my query has been modified here, and when I double click on it, it will run that query, but only search my interview participants and not the entire project. I'll get the same tabs down the side here with my results. The last query that I want to show you is just this word frequency one. I'm not going to go into any of the details of this slider or how I match it to particular sources. We've already covered that with the text search query. In this case, I'm just going to run the query across the whole project, and what this will do, it will count every occurrence of every single word and how many times it's appeared in the project. So here we can see, for example, the word east has appeared 331 times in the project, beach 271 times, and people 214. This can be quite useful as a researcher as it gives you a general feel for the topics that have come up more commonly within your research. Now, you might not want to rely on this result for any significant part of your analysis, but this can be a very useful way of cluing up things that you might have missed. So for example, in this research project, you might not have been aware that the word turtle came 144 times. That might highlight a theme that you've missed and give you an inkling as to why you might need to read some of those transcripts again and just make sure you haven't actually missed a particular theme. As well as just counting the occurrences, you'll see it will also produce a word cloud. You can click on the tab over the side here and it will bring up a visual representation for all of the words and how often they've appeared in the project. Of course, if I had filtered this, it would be maybe just how many times they'd appeared within a particular interview, or just the males or just the females, or just the managers, depending on what different classifications I have. You will notice that when I was earlier refining it, I didn't do it by interview, but I did it by the case node. And this is one way that case nodes are very powerful, because instead of searching the words of the researcher, including questions and diaries and notes, it was just targeting specific groups. So here we can see this is a nice visual representation. At the top here we've got the option to change the colour scheme, and if I click on one of them, these are all predefined, it will load up the different types that I might want to use. You'll see you've also got the option to access a tree map, which I think we can say is far less striking, at least visually, as a representation. The final option it will give you is a cluster analysis, but if you want to know more about this, you're going to have to check the NVivo guidelines. It's a bit complicated for this video. So this has covered the two most common types of query that you can find within NVivo, and these will be useful for most types of project.